If you're thinking about investing in real estate, you need to be aware of the political environment because the wrong political decisions can send the market crashing. You don't have to look much further than the last 6 months to understand that political choices by other people can have dramatic effects on markets worldwide. But the reality is, when you're looking at what the politics are, it's really hard to figure out how you're going to be able to navigate that because who knows what politicians are going to do in the next go round. The way that I look at that is I look at what areas of the country are known for political stability. What areas of the country are known to protect landlords? What areas are good for real estate? Those areas put me in the highest probability of having success regardless of what the political climate does and what other people choose to do. So the reality is, when you're looking for the stablest markets in an unstable world, it's very easy to look at what is driving them, and usually it's politics. You don't need to look much further at what is happening to real estate prices in California or New York City, Washington, D.C., Detroit. Then look at Florida, look at Texas, look at North and South Carolina, look at Phoenix, Arizona. Those markets are driven by some other factors because there is protection there. The other thing you got to look at is you got to look at what is the government doing for policies? How are they affecting industries? What industries are fueled in the areas that you're looking at? If you're looking at the oil and gas industry, and you're looking at how production's being hampered, you're looking at how things are changing in that field, you may want to understand what the federal policies are versus the state policies in places like Oklahoma or Texas or Alaska. These are areas that can be dramatically affected when policies change. We saw that with the cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline. There was a dramatic impact on North Dakota. North and South Dakota both suffered from that. So you're going to want to understand what markets are being affected by businesses that are being affected by government policies. The other area to look at is infrastructure spending. Where is the government spending their money and why? These might be a couple of the only bright and shiny spots for states like New York and California because the government is spending massive amounts of money on infrastructure projects in those areas. But is that really enough to buoy an economy? Is that really enough to put everything in a position that things can continue as normal? Or are there other areas that are getting a lot of that same money with better policies and better procedures? I heard a politician speaking the other day, and all he was talking about is the ways the government is set out to hamper small business. And they were doing it through regulations and policies. But they were also touting it that they were doing this great thing because they were creating infrastructure and they were creating better roadways and better highways and train systems. But the reality is that's such a small sector that they're helping, and yet the policies and the regulations are hampering in many areas. Then you take on top of that what the states are doing to further hamper that. You see that there is a very direct connection between good politics and bad politics. And I'm not talking about Republican and Democrat. I'm talking about policies that are pro-business, talking about policies that are pro-growth. I'm talking about policies that affect regions of the country. In fact, the country as a whole can be affected by certain policies. But if you're in a state or you're in an environment that has a real good handle on how to enforce those policies and not devastate the local market, you're going to put yourself in a position where the downfalls and the pitfalls of real estate can be avoided by being in areas that have the kind of policies that align with what your business plan is. So what does this mean for investors? It means that you have to do a deep dive on your market. You can't just look at it and go, man, that is a great deal on an apartment complex in Peoria, Illinois. You have to look at what are the politics in the area. What is the industry that fuels and funds the people in that area? And what are the things that are likely to change in that environment that are inside that state but are beyond your control? And how can you position your investments to take advantage of those situations or be less affected by them? I know it's going to sound very unpopular, but you really need to look at the politics before you get involved in investing in certain areas of this country.